WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange's internet access has been cut off. Ecuador has suspended his online access at its London embassy. You'll know that Assange has been staying there since 2012, trying to avoid extradition to Sweden. eNCA's UK correspondent Olly Barratt has his eye on that story for us. So what was the reason given?
Well, Ecuador is saying that they don't want Julian Assange's social media feed to jeopardize relations with other countries. That is thought to be in regard to a couple of tweets that Julian Assange has recently sent, one of them which related to the fallout between Russia and the UK over that nerve agent attack on a former spy in Salisbury at the beginning of the month. Julian Assange sending one social media message which appeared to suggest that perhaps the Russians weren't to blame for that nerve agent attack in Salisbury, which is what Britain has claimed all along. So the Ecuadorians very worried indeed that Julian Assange is using their communications network, their internet inside the Ecuadorian embassy in Knightsbridge to communicate with the outside world in a way which could harm relations between Ecuador and other countries. So it's for that reason that Ecuador is saying that they have simply cut his access to the internet altogether.
But why now, Olly Barratt? It's not the first time that he's gone online and been controversial, is it?
No, you're exactly right. And actually, back in 2016, the Ecuadorians also cut Julian Assange's internet access inside the embassy. At that point, it was to do with a release of information which, in Ecuador's view, could have harmed the campaign of Hillary Clinton during the 2016 American election. So there is history here. The Ecuadorians, what they object to, there's certainly a scale to all of this. They know that Julian Assange inside the embassy is going to be tweeting, has a certain worldview, and will be sending messages to social media along those lines. But I think in Ecuador's view, when it starts to potentially harm their relations with other countries, then they're inclined to step in. I think we can also understand from all of this that the Ecuadorians are annoyed with Julian Assange generally. They're annoyed with the fact that he is still inside their embassy in London, and perhaps this might be an attempt on their part to try and force him out.
And as far as the British government is concerned, he remains a thorn in their side. In fact, according to one politician, he is, and I quote, a miserable little worm.
That's exactly right. And, you know, not just a thorn in the side of the government, a thorn in the side of the Metropolitan Police here in London, who've spent millions and millions of rands since 2012 policing the embassy. They've reduced that policing presence now outside the Ecuadorian embassy, but the British police say they will still arrest Julian Assange if he steps outside the building, and that is because he skipped bail back in 2012. Those sexual assault charges in Sweden, which he was trying to avoid, have since been dropped. But given the fact that he skipped bail to enter the Ecuadorian embassy back in 2012, under British law, he is still a wanted man, still accused of a crime. So the police are keeping an eye on the embassy. That continues to cost money. That continues to annoy the police here in London. That continues to annoy the British government, who would also certainly want him gone if they could possibly find a way to make that happen. Julian Assange doesn't want to leave the embassy because he believes he will end up being extradited onwards to the United States for the release of classified information.
Olly Barratt in Westminster, thank you very much indeed.